What is one thing your parents taught you, but you will never teach your children? How to open a beer bottle with my teeth. That parents never have to apologize to their kids. I love my dad. He is a great dad, and I know he loves me so much. But he has it in his head that even now, even when his youngest, me, is an adult, that he doesn't need to apologize if he does something wrong. It's baffling. How to change an electrical outlet. 120 volts. Live. Good stuff. That you need to hustle 100% of the time and be constantly busy with school/worker, extra activities, side projects, cleaning, etc. Spending time unwinding is a sign of laziness, and iridium and intelligent people are never bored. This really messed me up, and I'm still learning the art of wasting time. That crying is shameful. How to rewind a VHS. Edit, my first award. And more upvotes than I could have expected. Thanks guys. Eat everything on their plate. I try to get my kids to make an effort to eat their meals, but I'm never going to punish them for not being hungry when I say so. Sometimes you start it and can't finish. Sometimes you just don't like it. Now if they keep saying they're hungry, sometimes you gotta learn to take what you can get though. Eating cookies before dinner gives you worms. Had nightmares as a child. That's sex, sexuality, drinking/drugs/partying, politics, money, spirituality are awkward things to discuss. I want my future kids to know facts, and that if they are ever in trouble, I'm a safe place for them. We don't have to talk about it if they don't want to. They'll be taught how to be safe, but they should also know that these subjects are a part of life and should not cause shame. Apologizing and showing emotions is a sign of weakness. To try to fit in as much as possible and to please others at the expense of who you really are on the inside. Lack of empathy. My parents grew up in a really horrible situation, and they made it out and did well for themselves. So now anytime anyone struggles, they refuse to feel bad for them because they have gone through worse and did fine. I think people deserve empathy regardless. My dad always said, children should be seen and not heard. I'm not a big fan of that one. That's really messed up. Children are little humans too, and like to be both seen and heard. That's what all that "watch me, are you watching? Watch me" shit is about. That their love has conditions, and if not followed they will drop you in your time of need. Right or wrong. I hope my children will never feel like they can't talk to me, or that I will judge them. I'm so sorry this is what your home life was like. I hope you're somewhere kinda now. That it is illegal to have the little ceiling light on in the car. Edit, OML, so many people are asking me if it's legal. Lol. Where I live it is legal, but I know it's illegal in some places. Lots of parents say this because it's an easy way out of explaining that it's hard to see with the light on. It is illegal where they live, or their parents told them it's illegal. You can look up if it's legal in your area. I don't know why anyone would say this. I tell my kids it's hard to see to drive with lights on inside the car at night. Easy, honest, problem solved. Because it's easier to blame it on someone else than yourself. That I basically have to be a smaller version of them, believe exactly what they do, and not think for myself, and have my own opinion. If I have kids, I'd let them be open-minded and believe what they want. My parents fought a lot. They'd both get very emotional about things and raise their voices in every argument. By example, I will teach them that when you are angry, take a break from the argument until you've both calmed down. My parents argued a lot, really a lot. I became very non-confrontational as a teenager because of this. This has caused me a lot of troubles in my personal life. That's the same for me. Never made the link though. That girls shouldn't want careers, and therapy and SSRIs are for crazy people. Yeah, I'm in a much better place now ever since I got out of that closet-minded bubble. My daughter is not going to be shamed by me for her choices. My parents didn't necessarily believe that women shouldn't want careers, but they believed that women shouldn't want certain careers. When I wanted to go to nursing school, they were perfectly fine with that. When I decided that I didn't want to be a nurse and wanted to pursue a degree in intelligence studies, they shit their pants because they think I won't be able to handle it. Why? Because I'm a woman, I can relate to the therapy part too. You better never bring a black woman home. Apostrophe. If a boy acts like a jerk, it means he likes you. Apostrophe. No. Just no. First of all, he shouldn't be let off the hook for acting like a jerk, whether he's 5 or 105. Secondly, it teaches girls that abuse is okay, or that they should expect to be treated like crap, and that it's okay for them to be treated like crap. Closed bracket. My daughter had a little boy that was picking on her, and I was pissed. I asked her what would happen if Tatty, her dad, pushed me off of the sidewalk or pulled my hair. She said he wouldn't do that because he cares about me and that other little boys in the school are a lot nicer. That's damn right. You stay away from that little boy, Chase. That little boy's an asshole and don't forget it. Oh. And at the start of the coronavirus thing he was blowing air on her. Must be something about kids named Chase. My daughter had similar issues with a kid by the same name. My mom to this day thinks it's dangerous to look into a cat's eye because they will see it as a challenge. Is that why your profile pic is cat size? To keep your mom away from your Reddit account? Smet. Finish your plate. Bitch, that is what all that Tupperware is for. To be petty. Absolutely. My mother celebrates her pettiness and never misses an opportunity to take the low road or seek revenge. She had a customer skip out on a $150 bill. My mom turned it into collections. Years, and I mean years, later, she was contacted by a debt management company looking to pay the $150 bill so the former customer could fix their credit to buy a house. My mom dodged the call for weeks on purpose just to be an asshole and hold up the process. She told me this story all proud and smug. I think she was expecting me to clap for her. I just stared in disbelief. My kid is being taught to show mercy when given the opportunity. To wait until marriage. You know they won't anyway. The best you can do is teach them to be safe and pray they do okay. Same with a lot of things. Actually, I know my daughter is going to have sex no matter what. I know she's going to try alcohol at some point. I know she's going to probably try pot. Her safety is my priority. So the sex talk is going to include how to stay safe, where the extra condoms are stashed, that it's perfectly okay to ask me any questions about sex, like, X happened, is this normal, closed bracket comma, all about consent, etc. And about the effects of alcohol, based on science, and how to stay safe when drinking socially with friends. Definitely would prefer if she didn't drink before 21. But if she's going to, might as well try to help her help herself not get absolutely shit-faced and possibly assaulted. But here's hoping I can move us to Europe in the next 5 to 10 years. Also tell her that no matter what, if she needs help you will pick her up. Even if it's in the middle of the night. No questions asked. My mother did this with me, and I've only had to do it once, to get out of a sticky situation. She picked me up in the middle of the night, even though I was an adult at the time. My mom is a nut, and taught many wrong things. So pretty much all of the things. I'm curious to know some of the major and more memorable teachings. That God and Jesus commanded some 14-year-old farm boy asshole to start the one true religion in upstate New York. Mormon. Yup. How it feels to be hit by a belt. My mom got really mad at my siblings and I for something. So we ran into a bedroom and quickly stuffed magazines in our pants so the belt wouldn't hurt. She started smacking our asses with the belt, and since it didn't hurt we were laughing instead of crying from the pain. She then pulled down my pants and saw the magazine. Now she got really mad, took the magazine out and hit our bare ass skin. Hurt like hell. Lesson learned. Next time you stuff your pants with a magazine and get whipped, act like it hurts. You are an innovator, an unsuccessful one, but nonetheless. Be a meth addict. They didn't tell me to do that, but they were there, and they were meth addicts. Teaching by example is unfortunately the best way to teach good or bad things. Fortunately for me, I took them as counter-examples, rather than examples. That small children should and will work like adults. Never mind the fact that they're physically incapable of it, and I mean stuff like full home renovations and heavy landscaping. A little kid can't carry a ceiling beam on their own. And surprise, they also can't handle a giant wheelbarrow full of heavy wet mulch on their own either. I mean, FFS now. My parents tried to tell my then 6-year-old son off about not doing anything when my husband and I were moving heavy furniture. My parents weren't doing jack shit other than watching. Hypocritically enough. And they didn't like when I told them to shut up or gtfo. Because my son is going to be a kid, not a workhorse. So yeah, I guess my dealies, that I was taught that kids are born to work for you, and you shouldn't let them actually be children. And I adamantly refused to teach my son the same bullshit. I was treated the same way. Built a pool at 8 with my dad, including full 3-layer deck, painting/staining, cement work, etc. We removed an entire garden section to do it. Built a fence, etc. Built a pool house a couple of years later. Me and him did the framing, including carrying it. Did landscaping/hardscaping with him from like 10 to 20. Knew how to fix electrical shit by the time I was 13. Could fix cars at 15. Could build my own damn house by the time I was 19. We also fixed/upgraded our own computers. The first time I took apart a computer was when I was 7. The only good thing that came of it, besides the obvious skills that I use to work now, was that the only time someone tried to bully me physically, they got super surprised when I was both faster and stronger than them. I don't regret or hold any animosity towards my parents for making me work like a dog. As a matter of fact, I'm rather grateful because I have always been a person who loved working with their hands. I just know that most kids aren't insane like me, and that I was an outlier. If I ask my kid to help me with something and they say no, then no it is. If they end up being just like me and loving doing it, then there are ways they can help that isn't slinging cinder blocks or hardscaping stones or 2x4s. Because when I was a kid and I said I didn't want to do something, I would be browbeat into doing it anyways. Giving kids a choice and honoring their choice is the most important thing you can do. If my dad listened to me when I said I didn't want to do something, I would have had a better relationship with him. At least until he started hitting me. Dialing on a rotary phone. Yo urgen northeast ration is lazai. WHY can't youbili kenos. Parents, I will work hard to my children. Don't have to suffer like I do. Also parents, yo you kiddies harven it so yes why. I'm in my late 30s. All through school the gospel was get a job you love now. When you leave a job because you aren't happy they look at you like you're crazy. My dad had a job he hated for 35 years. It made him miserable. That long hair is gay. That it's okay and that you should say I love you. I'm proud of you. And I'm sorry. Also regardless of your family dynamic, it's healthy to have and give boundaries. Wait, what? Why would you not teach these things? Yeah, these parents sound pretty good. Finish what's on your plate. Oh no thanks. You stop when you're full and can save the rest for later. I'm not giving my kids an eating disorder by destroying their hunger signals. I watched my dad countless times tell my brother that he is a pussy if he didn't clear his plate. My dad also gave my brother the nickname Soft Shoulders. Apostrophe. I once asked my dad why they never fed us fruit or veggies. His response was, well, we had apples around all the time. Yeah. Give a child a bucket of candy and an apple and see what they choose. Good God, I'm angry at my parents. Man, that's brutal. You know, the older I get the more I realize how much my parents f***ed me up, but also how much pain and suffering is caused by simple ignorance and flippancy. Like your dad saying your brother was a pussy he probably thought nothing of, that he was just like her. I want to convince my kid to finish what's on his plate, and this obviously stupid method actually is incredibly damaging long-term psychologically to a child. Sometimes it's straight up neglect, but the most insidious damage comes from soft neglect. These well-intentioned, but ultimately excessive use of force on children that destroys their autonomy and sense of self and degrades them. For my parents the ideal was not to be wasteful, but they employed and ends justify the means tactic, and they didn't teach me not to be wasteful, they taught me to be gluttonous and oblivious to my oaks, and has led me to a life of binge eating and body issues. I don't plan to have kids, but these are the lessons that I would have taught them. A boy or girl teasing you does not mean they like you. Boys will be held accountable for their actions. No means no. Not try harder. Stand up for yourself. Never make yourself small to avoid conflict or to avoid rocking the boat. Anyone can cry for any reason. And doing so does not make you less of a person. Self-care is as important as work. And putting one aside for the other does not make you better. You do not need to be perfect. In school, sports, work, relationships. All that matters is that you put an honest effort. Some days honest effort is getting a 40% on a test and others it's getting a 97%. And that's okay too. Edit. I wanted to acknowledge that others have had a different life experience than my own. Op is asking about lessons we were taught by our parents that we won't teach our own kids. In my family boys will be boys was a strong message. Growing up, I received messages from my family that when boys hit me, it was because they liked me. If I ever hit them back, I was grounded. My cousin had a woman pregnant out of wedlock and family applauded him for becoming a dad, while calling the one he impregnated a whore for opening her legs. In my family, rape victims were attention seekers who were at fault for being raped, and the boys and men who did it were innocent for X, Y, or Z reason. When Brock Turner raped the woman, the first words out of a male family member's mouth was, "What did she think would happen going to a co-ed party?" This sounds like you would be a great parent. Your decision to not have kids is totally valid, and I applaud your honesty here. I chose children, but I honestly don't understand when people get upset over what other people do with their lives. That being said, it sounds like you'd be a great mentor, as you've learned a lot of life lessons that would be great to share. Helping others without changing your whole life can be incredibly rewarding. Selective application of morality. Growing up, the rule was it's not illegal if you don't get caught, and the effect was to cut every corner and take any advantage available regardless of the morality. If you can get away with it and justify it with moral ambiguity, you're fine. The reality is that our projection of self into the world isn't who we feel that we are, but the sum of our actions. As soon as you compromise your morals, you've not just taken some menial small win like cutting a line, but you've compromised the body of work that will be known as you to everyone but yourself. Learn who you are. Live up to the person you want to be. That grades determine your future. Grades are important and all, but they shouldn't come before life. What do you mean? An overemphasis of grades. Stressing kids out over an occasional bad grade. Always pushing them to get straight A's. If you ask me, if you can keep an A or B in a class, you're fine. Explore your passions and what really drives you, where your heart is. If all you ever grind for is an A, you miss out on so much life. Xenophobia. Not really something my parents taught me, but something I watched them do when growing up, which is just comment on people's appearances all the time. Who cares if you don't like the clothes they're wearing? Or what if you think they've lost or gained weight and you don't like their new haircut? Okay, etc. My family does this so much, and I quickly grew out of it in my early teens. But yeah, it's such a pointless superficial conversation. It has no good purpose whatsoever. Everything. I'm not going to have children. Same. And since I'm gay, I never have to worry about even accidentally knocking someone up. Not something my parents taught, but I see it a lot. I won't teach my kids that parents don't have to apologize. Parents make mistakes. We should be willing to admit it and apologize. It's hard to do sometimes, but it's hypocritical to make kids do it if I won't. That you have to respect all of the adults. I'd just teach them to respect the people that respect them, and that when an adult is wrong, they don't have to stop themselves from letting them know what's right. Euthanasia is a country. I didn't know there were euthanasia. My partner and I aren't having kids, but one piece of advice that my mother gave me was to never be 100% honest with myself. My dad used to be incredibly possessive and downright mentally abusive towards her, so I understand why she used this tactic. However, in a healthy, loving relationship, this piece of advice is downright destructive. That beating's a proper punishment. That being screamed at until you pass out is normal. That having your head slammed into the corner was a good thing. And when I puked over being so dizzy for it, I was forced to clean it up and go back into the corner with my head slammed into it repeatedly. Basic narcissist bullshit and the like. I gave my child up for adoption at birth to break the chain of abuse. This comment may not be used anywhere outside of Reddit. I'm so sorry. Please click subscribe if you enjoyed this video.